Shakar Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Thawada, Abba, called Kadash. I'd like to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that teach this truth through the Holy Spirit. I pray this lesson be edifying to you Akwat and Akwas out there. I'm your brother Balakama. And going to do a lesson today that I put together last night. Sometimes we wake up in the middle of the night and sometimes our mind is kind of refreshed and, and the spirit be on us, man. And if you wake up, I wake up and I start, putting in my phone, precepts along with my thoughts, man. And so that's what I came up with. The title of this lesson is going to be called The Silent Attack. And so I pretty much kind of wrote everything down. I'm going to do a lot of reading. And then I'm going to put my precepts in between. One thing about Esau Edom, though, he has a very well thought out plan. And he patiently wait, put into motion the destruction of the black family. And by destroying the black family, therefore you destroy the black community, and then you destroy our nation. And we're really not black, and it's like I'm saying that, but I just use that because that's the terms that we go by, because we're different shades of brown, and it's not talking about Judah, but we're talking about the all 12 tribes, man, in relation. Talking about the black, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, Latinos, and the speckled bird that's scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. By convincing the black woman that she can do it alone without her Israelite man. And all she did was sit back and wait after he took away jobs, adding drugs, guns, and controlled the media. Jake used, we use the media, watch the news, we watched, we watch these different programs, shows that they program a lot of our women to be busybodies, because a lot of times, early in the 80s and 90s had stuff like what they call early in the morning the stories, but nowadays they have what they call love and hip hop and those type of drama, what they call reality shows, man. There's a lot of drama and shit that programs our people, man, to be degenerates, and not to mention the media. You're talking about the music that they use to influence our people, and the movie shows, because we had black exploitation in the 70s and the 80s, and then now you have everything on TV now is all broken up families, Either Jake that's going to be in any movies, he's going to be degenerate somehow, he's going to be alcoholic, on drugs, Jake just can't get it together. There's always going to be a so-called white savior somewhere in that movie. He's got to play his part. But I don't want to get too far offhand, man, with that. But pretty much the Edomites sit back and waited, man. They put all these things into motion, man, in our communities, and they just sit back and waited. And now you see and waited for the carnage to begin. And you look at where we're at now in these so-called black communities, man, it's fucking hell on earth, So we're going to go into my first precept is going to come out of the prophet Isaiah chapter 30, verse 7. For the Egyptians shall help in vain and to no purpose. Therefore have I cried this. Their strength is to sit still. And we're talking about the Egyptians. We're talking about today the modern day Egyptians, talking about Esau Edom. And their strength, man, is to put things in motion, sit back and sit still, man, and wait to see what's going to happen. One thing about this devil, man, he always has a well thought out plan. He's always planning ahead. The plan of warfare was the destruction of the black family by going after the black women with their few parting gifts, like welfare. They have Section 8, TANF, free medical, and government jobs. So Ecclesiastes, we're going to go to Ecclesiastes 7, verse 7. Surely oppression maketh the wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. So they coming in with these gifts, man. These gifts to our women, but in order to receive these benefits, she had to take the black man out of the house, and therefore you putting her over the man, because he has to pretty much submit to that woman in order for him to have a place to live. Because they took the jobs out, man. So Jake, having hard times making ends meet. And you can look at it in a movie called Dead Presidents, with Lorenz Tate. And it shows, when a lot of Jakes came back from fighting in the war in Vietnam, when they came back, man, it was like hell in our ghettos, man. Because they took a lot of these jobs away. And Jake had no other recourse but either, because they put drugs in there. They put drugs in the communities, man. And then they forced our women, to give them this cheap-ass housing, man. These cheap gifts that they gave them. And therefore you created a dynamic that was going to destroy the family. But surely oppression maketh the wise man mad. And that's the part of that oppression, man, by putting us in these communities, these so-called projects, man. Okay, let me go back over that again. Okay, no. Okay, Proverbs chapter 29, verse 5. A man flattereth his neighbor, spreading a net for his feet. A man flattereth his neighbor, spreading a net for his feet. So we talking about that man, Esau Edom, man. He coming in with the flattery, the smooth speech, smooth words, convincing our women that, we're going to provide these things for you, man. But all the time, he's really setting a net. He's setting a trap, that's going to be, that we're going to pay the cost many generations down, man. Because none of that shit was free. All that shit came with the cost, man. And a lot of that cost was you Israelite Jakes, man, our men, young men, being hoarded off to prison, man, in mass numbers. Then our women being thoughts, they're not having a father there to help keep her in straightly. And you see how the young women are now, man. They all pretty much whores, man. He put into many bills down the line. We talking about Esau Edom. He put into many bills down the line, knowing what the outcome was going to be, by building more prisons, bringing into play the feminist revolution, by convincing Eve that she was equal to or better than her man, and that was being oppressed by her man. They put in her mind, they planted that seed that she was being oppressed by her man because she was being obedient to her husband, man. And that's the way of the devil, man. That's what he does. He plant that seed and he just sit back and watch it manifest. So we're going to go to precepts come out of 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 14. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in transgression. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands that dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. So it's telling you right now who's the weaker vessel, man. And that's why this devil went after our women. Because 9 times out of 10, man, most Jakes, man, they can see through a lot of that bullshit. But the women, they flattered by gifts, man. Eve, they like their gifts. They like to be rewarded and things of that nature. And so her being a weaker vessel, that's who they targeted, man. They targeted her to help destroy the Israelite family. And talking about in you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans families, because they did the same thing with Gad on those reservations, and same thing with the Latinos and Hispanics in those barrios, man. It's a well thought out plan. They stick to it. They know it works, and they continue to use it. So once you take that man out their head, man, who has sound reasoning, and you have a woman in there who's making these decisions based off emotion, man, it's going to be a train wreck, man, pretty much. It's going to be a train wreck, and who's going to pay the price? It's going to be those Israelite kids, man. And that's what this devil wants. So we go to 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands that dwell with them according to Shalakia. Going to go to Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God Yahweh had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every fruit of the garden? And behind that conversation that they had, that dialogue that they had in the garden, man, we see what the result of it today, man. Today we bear witness to the abomination that was born out of the union between our black women and Esau Edom, man. They pretty much became a partner of crime, man, into to this destruction. And not talking about all black women. We talking about high number, high percentage, but you few black women that who see through this and who's in this truth, man. It's not pertaining to you, but we talking about demographically, man. The majority of our women, man, they fell for the trick of the devil. Putting Esau Edom over her black man and listening to the philosophy of this devil, man. Now they have bore a degenerate nation that is full of abominations and self-destructive behavior, man. And you see it going on in these communities, man. All these so-called black communities, man. It's a lot of self-destruction.
Okay, I found this.
A lot of what they call drill rap. And then the women, you see it targeting the women now because they're pushing a lot of this thought type music, man, or city girl type, whatever they call it. They always repackage and put a new name on it. So right now I think it's city girl or whatever they want to call it, So that comes from, laying down with the devil, man. I'm going to go to the prophet Job, because Job was a prophet. Job 39, verse 16. She has hardened against her young ones as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear. Because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. And that's why she was targeted. And that's why she's still targeted to this day, man, by our oppressors, man. And you see now, most of these, man, they really don't give a shit about their kids because if they knew, you could tell most of them today, but they knew by having a father in the house, man, that child has a more likely chance of, making it in this system, being able to survive. But even though they know these numbers and they see, the wrecking ball of having fatherless homes, man, Eve still, she wants to be independent. She wants to not have to answer anybody, and she wants to be over her man, and she used a lot of times the child as a pawn to help break down an Israelite man. So Eve is pretty much self-centered, man. She has that egotistic, not nation-building mindset. And like I said again, we're not talking about all the women of our nation, but majority of our women, especially in the Southern Kingdom, man. Evil E has done a marvelous work on our women. Because she is lacking in wisdom and understanding, that is why the devil went after her first. Eve became a weapon used to attack her own nation. Eve was beguiled by evil E, the serpent. The serpent was wise enough to know by breaking the structure that Yahweh had put in order. Thereby, he was able to destroy our nation because Lord had put a structure in place, man. And that's a sound structure, You can't go around it, there's no other way to beat around it, man. But what he had put in place, man, was a model for success. The practice of breaking up slaves and Native American families is nothing new, man. They've been doing this shit since we've been over here. That same thing they done with Gad, man. They put them on the reservations. They took their children. They put them in indoctrination schools, and pretty much to wipe their whole memory, man, and to destroy them. And you see the product of that now. Gad on these reservations, man. It's pretty much their former ghettos, man. And a lot of them, they're on alcohol real bad, and it's just part of Esau plan, man. And that's why early in slavery when we was over here, man, the first thing they did was to break up their families, you know. And anytime that they had a child, they always took them and broke those families up. They take the father and send him somewhere, because that child that's born under it, he's going to be a weaker vessel, man. He's not going to have that father there for guidance. Psalms chapter 83, verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So they took away the names of our God and our Savior, man, and they supplanted that and gave us the so-called Jesus Christ, man. And his name is Yahweh. Yahweh being the Father, and the Son being Yahushua, man. So that was a well thought out plan that they did on us, man. And once they cut us off, man, you know, we didn't know who our heritage was. They told us that we were Hamites, you know, we come from Africa, you know, and pretty much they came over there and rescued us, man. You know, and that's the mind of the devil, man. That's how he thinks. Psalms 83, verse 5, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. And all these other nations know who we are. Everybody know who we are, except for you so-called Jakes, you black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You don't know that you God's chosen people. But the top part of those other nations, man, they're higher ups, man, they know who we are. And that's why they try to keep it a secret. And that's why they put billions of dollars into keeping the secret hid, man. A lot of these secret societies that Jake take part in, they side with the devil to receive their recompense or reward for selling out our people. So you got a lot of people in these positions, man, you know, they look like us, you know, and pretty much they might even be tares, but, you know, they might, majority of some of them are people that's in politics or whatever position that they are. They're pretty much gatekeepers or boule, as they like to call it too. And they made a pact with the devil, man, to sell out our people, you know, so they can get their reward on this side. Isaiah chapter 28, verse 15, because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell we are at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through it, shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehoods have we hid ourselves. So they say when all hell break loose, and we talking about the time of Jacob's trouble, they're going to be unscathed, man, but not thus say the Lord, man. They're going to get their recompense, their true recompense. They're going to get their true justice for selling out our people. So these black leaders consulted with government leaders to come up with a crime bill that brought mass incarceration to these black communities. And anybody, you know, that's 30 years or older, they remember the crime bill, man, by Bill Clinton and this so-called president that we have now, man, who helped initiated that crime bill. And he brags about it, you know, coming up with that crime bill. That took a lot of our Jake men and locked them up for many decades in prison. Therefore, you get a gap in fatherhood that was anemic to the black community, man. Not only black, but Hispanics, Native Americans. We go on to Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12, verse 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first, and though he pretend to help, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hand and whisper much and change his countenance. So you know how this devil does, man. He come there like he's really trying to help. Anytime we going through a situation, man, here he comes at the door, willing to offer help. But the whole time in the back of his mind, man, it's not free help, man. He's talking about undermining you, man. And, you know, that's part of that crime bill. You know, our people went to him thinking that, you know, and Jake was going off. Don't get me wrong. Jake was wilding out in these communities, man. Jake doing a lot of shooting and killing and murder, man. But all that was instigated by this devil. So he just sit back and watched and waited for the carnage to begin. And he knew that, you know, our leaders, you know, was going to come to them looking for help and thereby making the situation even worse, man. They pretty much sold us out, you know. So we're going to talk about the 1994 crime bill the explosion of surveillance, police, mass criminalization, incarceration, and deportation that has devastated black communities over the past 4 decades has been fueled by large-scale investments at all levels of government, accompanied by massive disinvestment from meeting community needs. The U.S. currently spends over $100 billion a year on policing and other $80 billion a year on jails and prisons, at a tremendous cost to the lives of black peoples and the communities and to the public. Private prisons made billions off our suffering, man. And they still do to this day, man. And now you see the repercussions of it, because you see how Jake be wilding out now in these communities, man. They have no hedge of protection. These communities are black-run, female-run communities, man, because they mainly ran by the women being the head of most of their households, man, and on project communities, man. And you see the devastation from it, man. Once that kid reaches a teenager, man, he's gonna be wild as fuck if he don't have a father there to keep him in check. And we all know that. We all know that to be true, man. We know that's, if that father's not there to keep those kids in check, man, they're gonna wild out, man. They're gonna be giving in to gangs and all type of debauchery that's going on out there. Once that child reaches some teenage years, man, it's known that that child, man, he's gonna buck, man. And a woman is not gonna keep that child in check. That's the purpose of having a father there. So by 1960, the black marriage rate had declined, but remained close to the white marriage rate, so before 1960. In other words, despite open racism and widespread poverty, strong black families used to be the norm. But by the mid-1980s, because that's after they came after the welfare system and, the requirements of being on welfare. So by the mid-1980s, black fatherless skyrocketed. Today, only 44% of black children have a father in the home. That's as of October 7, 2019. So here we are, 2023, man. And I'm quite sure it's probably done doubled since then, So it's probably like in the 20s or the 30s. Because this shit is definitely constantly elevating, man. These women that's having these kids out of wedlock, man. And actually now it's pretty much being, they look at it as a badge of honor to have a child, man. They talk about it now openly. At one time, that thing was frowned upon, but now they look at it as like a reward, man, to go out and have a child, and have a father over that child. Psalms chapter 64, verse 5. They encourage themselves in the evil matter. They commune in laying of snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. So they know what the hell they're doing, man. That's why they implement a lot of these things, man. They sit back and watch and wait. And I have this part here where I looked up that Google this thing about elephants. You ever get a chance, Google elephants. I think it was in South Africa, where they had this game reserve, and they brought these elephants in, and they killed off a lot of the bull elephants. We talking about the male elephants, the father elephants. So it's a little breakdown that I Googled and pulled up. So within a 5-year period in the 1990s, a game reserve in South Africa, young male elephants killed more than 60 rhinoceros. In some cases, tried to mount them. This was the highly unusual level of aggression for adolescent male elephants. What was revealed was that these adolescent elephants, which were committing such acts of aggression, had been orphaned. Their fathers were killed under the government's sanctions to keep elephants' numbers under control. Young adolescent elephants normally go through a troublesome or violent period. Male elephants, also called bull elephants, experience a phase called mush, M-U-S-T-H, which in Persian means madness of intoxication. Does this sound like a teenage boy? Yes. It sound like these teenage boys once they start to smell that musk. Once they get in them teenage years, and the hormones start to kick in. It is a period where the testosterone levels of the bull elephants increase up to 60 times greater than other times. The musk cycle usually only lasts a few days, but among the fatherless elephant, it has somehow become curiously long. Their behavior would become increasingly violent. The young males would walk around the jungle alone looking for trouble. They would kill rhinos, piercing them with their tusks. They weren't acting like elephants, as they didn't know what the elephants were supposed to do with all his energy and muscle. Prior to their fathers being cold, the same way they called the fathers of our neighborhood, man. You talk about cold, that's eliminate the fathers, man. Young adolescent male elephants would often follow older, sexually active males around, studying what they should do. But now these youngsters had no such role models. Getting back to the human race around 14 years of age, boys receive an 800% increase in testosterone levels in their body, and the dynamic juice in the principal male sex hormone, and it's secreted into the testicles of the males. Increasingly, a study of the data constructed by the Hopeful Institution found 14-year-old boys in Australia are more likely to be proceeded against by police for sexual assault, with a proportion decreasingly in years of age after that. But that part really, something a little different. But it's telling you right there, man, when that father's not there, it's a chemical imbalance that goes on, man, and starts with the testosterone level, man. Lord has set it up for the father to be there, and it kind of keeps those levels in check, man. And this is a biological thing, man. So you don't think these devils know this, man. You don't think they understood that and studied that. So they know by creating these fatherless communities, man, you're going to create pretty much a hell condition on earth, man. These young boys, as you see today, they wilding out. So at the game reserve in South Africa, in an attempt to curb the violent behavior of the junior elephants, they introduced 6 older bull elephants into a population of about 85 elephants. And immediately, the aberrant behavior and prolonged hormone changes abruptly came to a stop. So they notice, man. They understand it. They do that study, man. So Isaiah chapter 28, verse 18. We're going to go to the prophet Isaiah chapter 28, verse 18. And your covenant with death shall be disannulled, and your agreement with hell shall not stand. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, then ye shall be trodden down by it. So that's talking about these so-called civil rights leaders, these niggas that they put in these high positions that pretty much sold our people out, man. The same ones that brought in like the crime bill. They pretty much sacrificed our generations, man, our youth. Ecclesiasticus chapter 27, verse 26. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that setteth a trap shall be taken therein. He that worketh mischief, it shall fall upon him, and he shall not know whence it shall cometh. So we're talking about Esau Eve, man. He's the one that put these things into motion. He's the one that dug that pit, set that trap, and the trap is going to fall upon him, because these curses are going to be reversed on him in these last days, man. So that takes us back to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 7. And the Lord thy God, Yahweh, will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and upon them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So all our enemies, man, that sit back and watch and put into motion these traps, to watch our families being broken up, the women and children all broken up. Now these curses going to fall on these devils, man. And you see a lot of these Edomites, man, they're finding out now. You see a lot of them going in these divorce courts in these situations, man. They losing their children. A lot of diseases are falling on them, So, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. want to kind of bring that out and use for edification purpose, man, because it kind of came to me in the middle of the night, and I always want to kind of do a lesson on it, and find the precepts to go along with it. But yeah, you see the effects of it today, man, and Lord willing, that Lord comes soon, man, and clean all this up, man. That he clean all this up, that he bring that fire to purge out the wicked amongst our people, That Lord come, he's going to come and do a culling, man. He's going to cull the wicked out of our nation, man, and bring us into the kingdom. And put these devils up under us, man. And they're going to go into subjection. These curses going to fall upon them. And so with that being said, I want to give all praise to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And pray this lesson was edifying to you, Aqua, and if you Aquas that are in this truth. With that, say Shalom.